Okay, I want to talk to you again about this incredible power of mindset and how it really matters in your life. And I think that the main thing I want to start with in this lesson on mindset is that it's a choice. It's a choice. Whatever mindset you have right now did not come to you accidentally. The mindset that you have at this moment, somewhere, sometime, you made that choice. Okay? That's very important because I run into people who sometimes feel like that their attitude was given to them by someone else. And they'll say, well, my gosh, if you had to work where I work, you'd have a bad attitude too. And I look at them and say, that's not true. That's not true. Or if you had to live with who I got to live with, or if you had to live where I live. And they're always wanting to attach their attitude to a person or to a situation or to a circumstance. And I'm here to tell you that's not, the attitude that you have right now, you personally chose. And you're personally responsible for. That's why, let me stop here for a moment, when we think of mindset and attitude, that's why I never feel sorry for people who have a bad attitude. When I see somebody has a bad attitude, I don't want to go over and fix them. I just want to run from them. I don't want to be around you. If you got a bad attitude, can I tell you something? That's your problem, not mine. You go fix it. When Elizabeth, we call her Eli, when my daughter, she went through a period of a couple years where she just kind of got a little bit of a mindset that wasn't what it needed to be, an attitude. And I'd look at her and say, Sissy, gosh, that's not good. You're raining on my parade. Gosh. Tell you what, girl, go to your room and just close the door and kind of fix your mind, get it right, and then come back out. And stay in until you got it right. And don't rush it. The way you are right now, we're not in a hurry to see you again. So, if you're not ready for dinner and you got still mindset kind of not, it's okay. We'll slide food under the door. It's no problem at all. We'll feed you. We just don't want to be around you right now. It's a choice. It's a choice. Until you buy into the fact it's a choice, you'll never take responsibility for it. Responsibility and choice have always got to be linked together. You show me people who are not responsible for stuff, and I'll tell you people who think that they're a victim and they have no choice. So I'm going to tell you right now. I just want, in this lesson on mindset, I just want to give you 3 things that I choose in my mindset. Number 1, I choose to be realistic. This is very important. This is very important for you in your business, by the way. I choose to be very realistic. Max Dupree said the first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. And I choose now. And by the way, this is a hard choice for me because I'm not naturally, my natural tendency is not to be realistic. I'm a very positive person, and I have a tendency to be a dreamer. And you put a positive person with a dreamer, and you don't get realism. You with me? And so it took me years of battling my natural tendency to overcome that, to say, no, John, you can only build a dream as high as your foundation. And the foundation of the dream is realism. That's why people don't stay with the dream long. It's not realistic. You see, the dream is free, but the journey isn't. And because they don't know that, and they're not realistic about the journey, they get all excited about the dream. And guess when they don't get excited? When they find out there's a cost that's going to be extracted from them. Then all of a sudden they're saying, oh my gosh, I didn't know it meant that. Well, when I joined the team, I thought I didn't have any idea. Of course you didn't have any idea. That's why realism is the foundation for great dreams. And I could only build something big enough for a foundation that can handle it. And so the dream has to be based on realistic thinking. It's a catalyst for change. realism as a catalyst for change. I won't change if I'm not realistic. As long as I can assume or place it somewhere else, there won't be changes with my life. I can still remember I became very close friends with the Cathy family, the Chick-fil-A people, and I can still remember Truett Cathy, the founder, in our very first discussion, him leaning across the table, and he said, John, he said, if it's to be, it's up to me. And boy, I looked at that and I said, okay. He said, you just remember those words. If it's to be, it's up to me. And if it's to be, it's up to you, buddy. And so you're going to determine that. Only you can determine that. It's amazing how we want everybody else to kind of make our day. How everybody else to come around and you know. So it's a catalyst for change. I'll tell you what, realistic thinking gives me credibility, because what it is it keeps me from, and again, this is a weakness of mine. You have to understand, I'm talking to you about a real weakness in my life, realistic thinking. I've had to work hard on this because I had a tendency to overpromise, not because I was trying to lie to somebody. I just have a tendency to say, oh, it's going to get really great, and you're going to be wonderful, and you're going to love this, and all this stuff, and it wasn't great, it wasn't wonderful, and they didn't love it. And let me tell you, I can always tell a person's not realistic because there's a gap between what they say and what they do. And whenever there's a gap between what you say and what you do, it's because you're not realistic. You haven't taken a hard look at it, you know, kind of where you are. And by the way, here's what happens. In the beginning of a relationship, words weigh very heavily because you don't know the person. So you just kind of basically take what they say as truth. And so they're going out and they're laying all this stuff on you and say, oh, wow, this is amazing. So in the beginning, words weigh a lot. But the more you're with people, the less your words weigh and the more your actions weigh. And a lot of people never understand this realistic change, and so therefore they never are successful because they're still talking, but they're not walking. You know, it's the old saying, what is it? Your talk talks and your walk talks, but your walk talks more than your talk talks. And so they suffer a credibility gap. Does that make sense? Yeah. You got that. And realistic thinking brings your dream into reality. It's the only way. You see, idealism increases the farther you are away from the problem. And so you get idealistic, but when you get really close to the problem, all of a sudden it's the difference between major surgery and minor surgery. You know, minor surgery, is when it's on you, and major surgery is when it's on me. And again, just when I wrote the book, Put Your Dream to the Test, one of the questions I had was the reality question. And the reality question just said, am I depending on factors within my control to achieve my dream? I know a lot of people, they're depending on factors way out of their control to give them a dream. And it's never going to be a dream. It's going to become a nightmare. And so there comes a sense where I've got to be realistic with myself. So I choose to be realistic in my mindset, okay? Number two, I choose to be coachable. I choose to have a mindset that you can walk into my life and I'll be coachable in my life. You know, the word coach literally comes from the old stagecoach. Do you know that it derives from the old stagecoach, which in the old stagecoach, people would put in their day valuables and you put there and they would get to the point of destination, or they put themselves in that stagecoach to get that point. When you coach people, they are placing themselves in your care to take them where they need to go. And that's kind of the root of coaching. And to be a good coach or to be successful, there's got to be a coachability. You've got to be. Diana Kay, one of my wonderful friends who has coached tens of thousands of people, said, John, in a classroom, if you're in a classroom, the percentage of people that improve is 22%. But if you're being coached, the percentage of people that improve are 88%. Wow. She said it's a whole different world when you get into a coaching situation where people want to be coached. And so, I want to be teachable, and a person that's teachable, they have a desire to learn. If I'm teachable, I want to learn. I mean, like all of you, you're sitting there, you're taking notes, you're very teachable, you're wanting to learn. But when you're coachable, it means you're not only wanting to learn, but you're willing to change. And there's a world of difference between wanting to learn and being willing to change. Wow. So two things. I choose to be realistic in my mindset. I choose in my mindset to be coachable. And then the third one I want to talk about just quickly is I choose in my mindset to be persistent. You've heard me teach, so I don't need to teach it here, but you've heard me teach everything worthwhile is uphill. It all is. Everything worthwhile is uphill. So there's nothing easy about life. There's nothing easy about business. There's nothing easy about anything. And anybody that tells you it's quick and it's simple and it's easy and it won't take any effort and it won't take much time, they're on drugs. They're a drug. They're a drug dealer. Okay? They're a drug dealer. Because everything worthwhile is uphill. And persistent, when you think of uphill, persistent and consistent. Wow. They are uphill twins. You show me a person that is persistent and consistent, and I'll show you somebody who is going to do really well in life. So three quick thoughts on persistence. Number one is people who succeed persist through difficult times. Don't ever let anybody tell you that successful people have it easier than unsuccessful people. They don't have it any easier. They're just more persistent and consistent. You know, we all have what I call seasons of struggle. Do we not?
Yes.
I have them. I mean, just seasons of struggle. In fact, when I'm in a season of struggle, one of my favorite phrases to myself is I say to myself, this too shall pass.
Yes.
This too shall pass. I'm going to get through it. It'll pass. It's, you know, I've been in it for a few. This too shall pass. By the way, that not only works great for failure and difficulties and uphill struggles, that also works well with success. Listen to me carefully. This too shall pass. The greatest detriment to tomorrow's success is today's success. And I watch and observe it happen all of the time. Yesterday ended last night. So if you failed, get over it. If you succeeded, get over it. Doesn't matter. You can't go in tomorrow trying to hold on to today. And so this whole thing is of being persistent and staying with it. Go, you know, one of my wonderful, beautiful friends who passed away a couple years ago, Robert Schuller, he had that great statement. I heard him say it many times. Tough times never last, but tough people do. Yes. Tough people do. You know, just you stay through that season. Okay, number two, people who succeed persist through failure. They persist through failure. In the John Maxwell Company, we have a thing called Executive Circle. It's a monthly call for CEOs, executives. And every month I interview a CEO and some pretty big ones. And for 20 minutes, they'll talk about their best practice. And then for about 10 minutes, I'll apply it to leadership. And then for another 15, 20 minutes, I'll ask them questions. And then we open the lines and let the executives ask them questions. So I'm talking to the CEO of the second largest high-tech company in the world. And I'm talking to him about failure. And I'm talking to him about do-overs. You know, that when you know what a do-over is, don't you? You say, I'd like to be able to go do that over. You know, how many of you have something in your life you'd like to go do over, huh? Okay. How many of you have something in your life right now you'd like to do over? Okay, okay. We all have do-overs. Are you with me? So I asked him about do-overs. I said, talk to me about your do-overs. I said, what mistakes and failures have you had in your life that you'd just like to go back and have another shot at? He said something that was very amazing. He said, I've made a lot of mistakes. I've had a lot of failures. I've had a lot of down times. But I don't think I want to go back and do any of them over. I said, you're kidding. He said, no, I'm not kidding, no. He said, the lessons I learned from my failures produced so much character in my life and taught me so much about life. Honestly, John, if I could go back and do them over, I wouldn't have learned the lessons. And I think I would rather have the lessons with the failures than to have a life with no lessons at all. Come on, folks. Come. He said, who I am today, the character, the tenacity, the stuff that has made me who I am, CEO of the second largest, everything. He said, let me say something, John. It's all from the lessons I learned from my difficult times. That's mindset, folks. That's mindset. And one last thought on mindset. People who succeed, they persist through criticism. Boy, as a young leader, I had to battle this when I really wanted to make everybody happy. I wanted to please everybody. I wanted everybody to love me. And so I started off on that leadership journey of, let's make them all happy. Let's all have them love me. And it took me quite a while to realize that God called me to be a leader, not a clown. And all of a sudden one day I thought, oops, I'm not. My goal is to make everybody happy. My goal is to help people and help them make a difference. And in my book, Leadership, I have a whole chapter and this chapter is huge. It's how to shift from pleasing people to challenging people. How do you make that shift from that? You know, I wish when I was younger that I would have known Dilbert. You know Dilbert? And his words of wisdom, I love what he said. He said, I can only please one person per day, and today is not your day. And then he said, and tomorrow isn't looking very good either. In case you're hanging around expecting me to kind of make you happy and please you. And you just have to remember, here's what you got to remember in leadership, is the 5% rule. And the 5% rule of leadership is very simple. No matter who you are, no matter what you do, and no matter how good it was, 5% of the people won't like it. Yep. And they won't like you. And so when I get into that criticism and that difficult time where people says it, I just look at them and I smile and I say to myself, you're one of the 5%. Hey, and I don't think you're on schedule today to be pleased, and I don't think you'll be scheduled on tomorrow either. Thank you very much, huh? But do you see how mindset matters in your life? And here's the last thought on this lesson is very simple. My father, who was unbelievable in mindset, still is. He still is unbelievable in mindset. To make sure we understood mindset, he would say to us, instead of get the right mindset, he would say, set your mind. Set your mind on the things that you're going to do that are right. Set your mind on it. And all of a sudden, that's when I realized it was a choice. Set your mind on it. It's not like a mindset that I've been given. It's something I've set my mind on to make me and help me be the person I want to be. Yeah.